Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, before we get started on what hopefully will be the last repairs on Ruby's passenger fender, I have some sad news that my dog Jake has passed away. So I'd like to take a few moments to do a quick tribute to a wonderful, loving dog.
Come here, Jake. What are you doing? Huh? Did you get that snow? Huh? Come here. Come on. Yeah, good boy.
Jake was a highly trained, well-behaved, loving dog that will be missed by so many people, especially me. But it's time to get back to work. So the damage here is we have three areas that need work right here. The first one is I ran some Scotch-Brite over this so you guys could see it. So you could see where the edge hit right here and it kind of V'd that in right there. Well, you got a corresponding eruption right here where it peaks up and back down. So when that sheet metal hit, it just crinked that and it popped up. So this has a fairly sharp little point on it, and this obviously has a very sharp point on it. So it's going to be interesting getting that out, but luckily we can get to both sides easily. There's nothing in the way. The other one where it hit is right here, and that is super deep and very close. You can see it just hit, and right where it's on the edge where it broke over, it just followed it down, and that's a very hard thing to get out. It's very stretched right there, and as you can see, it bulges out right there. So I had hoped to just possibly reach around and just do a C-clamp with a couple of plates and just push that. Now there is an inner brace in there, and it looks like they're touching, but as you can see here, when I chopped the piece off the donor car fender, they are not touching. There's a pretty good gap in there, so that idea is not going to work. So the next thing is to basically just cut this out right here and put a small patch panel in here, weld it along here, and then weld it down the side, and then spot weld it back to the inner brace, and that one will be done. I doubt I'll show that on camera. I might, but I doubt I will. And then the last thing is the antenna hole. That needs to be filled in. So we're just going to cut a piece. It'd be super simple and weld that in. I don't know even know if I'll show that, but we do need to do some body line work here. So I thought you guys might be interested in seeing that. So let's flip this thing over and take a look at it at the other side and start coming up with a game plan, what we want to do first, or we want to do two things at once. You know, push down there and pull out there or something. I doubt I can manipulate both at the same time, which would be ideal. Slowly push out here and then slowly push down there. We may have to do one at a time. So let's flip it over and take a look. Okay, so we got it flipped upside down, and I ran some sandpaper over the whole area to kind of expose it so you guys can see and I can see, and then found another little dinger right there I didn't notice before. I was so focused on this. So as you can see, this is a large area, and this is probably almost matching, but a little more pronounced. And I'm pretty sure that I need to get this out first, but I don't want to hammer on it. I want to try to press it out, kind of get a clamp on there and something on the back side, and just see if I can just slowly clamp on that and start to push that back where it belongs. then maybe stop and then push on this one a little bit. So let me take a few moments to make something or find something. I'm gonna dig around in my stuff, get a little creative, maybe hopefully find a clamp that's long enough, and see if we can't kind of press that out. Okay, I spent about an hour and a half making this clamp, or actually modifying a clamp. This was my dad's. It was a very tall clamp, but had a very small throat on it. So I cut it apart, and I used this. I'm pretty sure this is top of a handrail. I had to buy a 10-foot stick to make a handrail for my mom's porch, and this was left over. So I just chopped it up and put a piece on each side and welded it on each end. So I'm pretty sure that's extruded cast iron. I'm not positive, and I'm hoping this is some sort of ductile iron or possibly forged, but I have a bad feeling. I didn't use any special rod or anything, so I have a feeling just using the MIG welder, it may just snap right as soon as I put pressure on it, but we'll find out. Anyways, what I have here is a piece of 1x1 square tubing. I think that's 120, and I'm just going to lay it on top of that peak right there and put the clamp on it, push right there, and then on the other side I have a piece of cherry, very hard wood, and it's shaped to match that, that curve right there. So I don't push any funky shapes into it. So let me put the camera down and try this out, see what happens. Okay, I'm going to try to hold this so that lays flat, and let's put some pressure on it. Fair amount of pressure on it right now. Nothing broke yet. Let's go ahead and back it off, see if we did anything at all. Yep, pushed it out pretty good. So now I want to switch over and go ahead and do this. I want to do a little bit here, a little bit there. I think this one's going to come out a lot easier. So let me reset, and we'll squish on that a little bit. Okay, I've got that same piece of cherry, and it fits exactly. I've sanded it so it has the rounds on it to match this body line right here. We're going to lay it on there just like that, and I've got a piece of 1 inch backing it up on the other side. So if we can get this on here and see what happens. I can see it flattening out, so that's a good thing. Still got a little ripple right there, but this is the curved area, so we're probably going to have to hammer and dolly that. But if we can get this line that runs all across the top of the fender pretty straight, along with this body line, I'll be happy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this back and forth a few times. I'm going to push on this one again, then I'll push on that one, and then we're going to see if we can get a hammer and dolly on this and flatten it out the rest of the way. All right, so we made some headway. I even squished out that little dinger right there. It's not gone. We still have to hammer on it a little bit, but it is much improved, so it's a lot less. So what we need to do is get this little peak out right here, and I knew I was going to be able to do that with that C-clamp, but it was flexing too much. I couldn't get enough pressure on it, but we got it all pretty much kind of gently squished back where it belongs. So now I'm going to take the dolly, and this shape right here pretty much matches the other side of that almost exactly. So I'm going to back it up with that, and I'll do dolly on. I'll use this hammer where I can reach down and just tap on the top of that ridge right there and see if we can go ahead and get that flattened out. So let me put the camera down, see what we can do. Much better. Let's go a little bit more. All right, that feels pretty good. Let's work on this, and then we're going to start working on getting that body line. So I'm just going to put a dolly up underneath there and tap these high spots down. Okay, that looks pretty good. We need to work on this area, but while I have it in this orientation, I'm going to go ahead and put a dolly underneath here and see if I can flatten that out a little bit. All right, let's flip it over, see if we can get that driven down. All right, put a little ink on it. We'll take the longboard since it's really hard and we'll flex it all, and this area is supposed to be flat. See what we get. All right, it's touching here and it's touching here. So this whole area dips right here. So we need to push on that a little bit more. And that's why I like to use the clamp. If I just knock this dent out, it would have still been low right here, because when that hit, it kind of pushed this whole thing down just a little bit. Now I put a straight edge across there and it's down just a tiny bit. So I'm not super worried about it, but I certainly want to see if I can push that a little bit farther. Let's check this area. It's probably going to show us the same thing. Yep, you see how it starts to wrap around? So this whole thing went down. So this is low, and I bet you this is going to be low right here. And there you have it. So you see how the scratches are going down around it. So it's like a little oval. So if I would have just knocked this dent out, just knocked these little spots, they were, big as a 50-cent piece, we would have still been low here. It's going to need some filler anyways, but by pushing on it, if we can span a large enough area and actually over push this a little bit, we might be able to get this back out. And this line right across the top, that's the top of the fender, that body line detail. If I can push this back out, the rest I'm not too concerned about. So I'm going to try to set something up to bridge from here to here, right about here to right about here, just inside of it, and then see if I can push on that with a block, with that, like that 1-inch block. And the last thing I want to do is over push it and put a peak right here, but I'm going to try to push and get this whole area to come back where I want it. And when we file across here, that it touches all the way, and then all we have is a little bit of repairs to do in here. So always try to think of, well, that hit, what are the chances of it didn't drag the rest of the sheet metal down with it? Well, it's a pretty little chance of that. So when it went down, I didn't imagine that it went all the way out to here. So that's why it's always good to ink it up or sand it, get some Sharpie or something on there and sand it up and see what you're really working at with. Because if we just fix this little dent and then put epoxy on it, then we start blocking out, and then I realize that I got to put a bunch of filler out here to try to get this to the right side, right shape. So I'm going to set up and see if I can't push on that real quick. Okay, so here's the setup. Believe it or not, I already had that put together. That was to splice square tubing together. So just got it taped up there before I get the clamp on it. So that's going to span that area that was low. Then I'll put the block in here and I'll put it right in the center, and I'll push down, then I'll move it over, push down, move it over, push down, go back to the center and push down, and we'll see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens here. Going really gentle. And I'll move this around here just a little bit. All right, let's check it out, see if we get that straightened out at all. Hopefully we didn't screw anything else up. All right, let's see if we did any good or screwed it up. There we go. Now this one's coming all the way out to here. This one still hasn't gotten any farther, so maybe we need to do it again a little bit more on this side. So. And you can see the point, the peak right there, that could be holding us up from touching right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this tapped out and rework this a little bit. See if that helps over here at all. The scratches are getting a little higher. Not much change right here, but we're improving right here, which is a good thing. So I'm going to tap all this off camera and see if I can't sweeten this up a little bit. I got to get that peak down it could be, you can see how shiny it is. It's probably holding me up from touching over here, and I don't want to do anything else until I get this, I can feel it. I want to get that hammered out. So let me take care of that. We'll come right back and give it another sand and see where we're at. Okay, according to the straight edge on a light, it's a little low from here to here. So this body line right here, it's dipped ever so slightly. And when I check it this way with the light, it shows me that it's kind of low right here. So I'm going to keep working on this. It's going to take some filler. What I want to get is this body line right across here, nice and straight. If there's a little filler over here and a little filler right here, I'm not too worried about it. What I'm more concerned about is this little detail being nice and straight this way, and so all we're doing is basically smoothing this out, not trying to reconstruct it by laying an 1/8 inch of body filler on here and raising this whole thing up. So I'm going to keep plunking away at this. It's low right there, I can feel it, and I'm starting to get some scratches in right here. So I'm getting very close. All I need to do is get that little nickel or penny sized area up, and then work on this area right in here, and I think we're just about got it. Okay, we made some pretty good headway over here. I'm pretty happy with this. It's not perfect, but this line right here is looking really nice. I've got the straight edge up against it several times, and I think we're looking really good. So this area is done. This area is done. You can see where the texture changes right there. See, this is a little, got some pecker marks and stuff in it. Not perfect, it's gonna need filler, but that corner is really good, so I'm really happy about that. So we are kind of 2/3 of the way done. Now we've got this kind of V-shaped right here where it sank down right there, and then it kind of pulled it all down with it. And if you see right here, I don't know if you guys can tell, but that kind of creeps up in there. So that means that this corner of this body line that runs down through there is a little low. It needs to come out this way. So that's what we're going to work on next. But this is very gradual. This is smooth to the touch up until right about here. So this just, I think if we get this out, it'll pull this up with it and we'll be fine. So may need to figure out if we can swing a slapper in there or something, but let me figure something out and we'll get that, and we will be just about done with this little rafter strike, I guess, or tree limb strike. Okay, so I think we're going to use the slapper right through here. This is fairly flat on this plane, but it's got a very shallow curve through here. So I happen to make this piece, you can see that, it's like 3/16 thick. I put a very shallow arc on that and sanded it, so it's relatively smooth. And I did this while I was working on the quarter panel, which I'm still not done with the quarter panel, but I'm almost there. Anyways, this fits pretty good up underneath there, so I just eyeballed it. So it fits really good back here, it fits really good on this side, but it doesn't fit so good here, and that's the area we have to work. So I'm gonna back it up, and I'm gonna do dolly on it first and see what happens, and then I'll probably move it over and do dolly off and see if I can push that down to get that low spot out. So let me just smacking away at this thing, see what happens. Just kind of going by feel where I feel the body line right here. That's coming out a little bit. The problem with something like this is it doesn't have a lot of mass, okay? So like a big heavy dolly, it's got a lot of mass. It's not gonna bounce away like this will, so you have to be a little more cautious. You know, it's probably going to take a little bit harder strike to do what would normally with a heavy dolly wouldn't take as much of a strike. Yeah, that's feeling a lot better. Instead of me keep flipping this thing over, I'm going to sand this real quick, run a straight edge over it, and see where the high spots are. I know you guys probably can't see them, but I can. So I got there, 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 and there. So I'm going to go ahead and do some more dolly on and try to smooth this out, and then we'll check it from the other side and see how we're doing. Okay, it's feeling a lot better. I think we need to flip it over and check it. But before we do, I want to locate that spot where this body line kind of, you know, went in right here, and I want to hit that a little bit, see if I can bring it back out. So I'll bring it back once we get this flipped over. I'm just going to take that little PDR tool and hammer on it right here. All right, guys, so I finally got smarter than the Fender and just started inking this side. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. Stupid. Let's just put a little sand on here. I've been tapping away on it, picking at it. Slow but sure. So you can see we have just a little circle right here. Before it was a pretty large area, so we're getting pretty good. This may in fact be a little high now, but I doubt it. It feels so smooth right there. I think this is just holding it up from, you know, bridging over. It's bridging it over. So we're almost zero right here, and we just got a little circle left. So I'm going to keep tapping away, then we're going to go ahead and flip this thing over and see how we did. Okay, I've gone back and forth on this thing, and I've got it, I think, as far as I want to take it. It's really smooth through here. I had to shrink it though, because soon I got it almost perfect, and then it oil canned on me, which that will happen, because as soon as you start getting everything where it used to be, then the stretched metal starts showing up, because you put everything else back where it belongs, and that metal has to go somewhere, right? So you remember it kinked down like this, and that was stretched, and you know, it was such a small area, but it tends to push it away from itself. And so this big flat area right here, prone to oil canning. So it's nice and tight right now. I don't know if you can see those little dots right there. That's where I just hit it just super quick, and it came out immediately, and it's nice and stiff right there. So I've gone back and forth on this thing, but I think either I'm getting tired of working on it, or it's just about as far as I'm going to go. The epoxy will probably take care of all this. So if you look, you can see that we just have, you know, just little spots here and there. Let me see if I can turn that so you guys get a better view. Yeah, right there. Okay. So you can see we're just a little low here, but we're touching here, here, touching here. You can see my, where I hit it with the little stud welder to shrink that. So, and it's a little low right here, but it feels pretty good. It feels like a flat plane. I don't even feel that low spot. I can kind of feel that one, and I feel those a little bit. So what I need to do is hit this with a DA, smooth all this texture out, and then probably wipe it with some wax and grease remover, and we'll take a look at an angle and see how good it looks or doesn't look, and then we'll probably call this one. Because if I keep working on this, I'm going to start pushing this metal everywhere else for just almost nothing. You know, this almost nothing. The epoxy will take care of all this. So let me hit it with a DA. We'll come back and take a look at it, and the proof will be in the pudding with that wet surface on there. Okay, guys, it is. So you see the lights right there. You see the shape. Now that's in an undamaged area, and we'll watch them and see how much they change shape. So we can see right there, if you watch this portion right here, it changes a little bit as we go through, and then they go right back to the right shape. So that is the portion of that that was a little low, and if we watch up here, you see them get a little funky, but the shape stays correct, right? So they get a little wavy from all those little dingers, but the shape doesn't change. It doesn't straighten out a bunch and then curve up a bunch. So I think we're pretty good on that. And then we look along this area. I don't know if I can get the lights in there. There we go. So this is an undamaged area, and then we go along, and you can see the waves from my hammering and stuff, and then we go back. So they stay in a pretty good shape. They wave a little bit right there, but I think it looks pretty good. And if we look down, which is the money shot right here, right? If I can get that in there. There we go. So you can see it's got a really nice shape, not as smooth as it could be, but it's got the right shape, and that's what's important. The epoxy, and if we have to do a little filling on there, that's fine. I mean, this whole car is going to have, we start prepping all this sheet metal and blocking it out, there's going to be all kinds of little waves. These fenders, I don't know if you guys ever noticed these GTOs, Le Mans at a car show, they all wander up and down on here. I imagine a brand new fender from 1967 had all those waves in it because that's just the way the stamp was. So there's a lot of things on these cars that you have to improve if you want it to look really, really nice. And we'll get into that when we start blocking it out. But I think we're done here. I'm pretty happy with that. Let me wipe that off. And I think we're going to wrap this one up. I'll go ahead and do this hole off camera, and I'll do this dent off camera. I'll just bust it out real quick. I need to get this fender out of my life. Okay guys, that pretty much wraps up this video on getting these body lines straightened out after that tomahawk chop from the tree limb and the rafter. Got it kinked right across both of them. And you know, body lines are not my favorite thing to do, especially when they're within 3/4 of an inch of each other. But we got it sweetened up really nice, and you guys saw with the wax and grease remover on there, it's got some really good shape. Not as smooth as it could be, but I'm kind of confident that the epoxy is going to help us get that out. If not, a little bit of body filler right here is not the end of the world. So I'm really happy to get this done. I really want to get this fender out of my life. So like I said, I'm going to do these other two off camera. I just want to put my head down and just get them done as fast as possible. And with Jake gone, it's going to keep me busy, keep my mind off that. So thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell, drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.